Look at us. We're going to play together today. Happy Sunday, everybody. We're here in rainy North Vancouver. Actually, it looks like it's let up a little bit. We had some serious cleansing going on here. Many areas were actually completely submerged, areas of town wiped out, just where they redid some of the drainage, which I find very interesting. So quite fascinating. We decided to sit down here today and just hang out with you in the cozy living room. So we'd love to know, how are you guys doing today? Norma Jean, how are you doing today?
Oh, yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm on it. It's creativeness and just so many just beautiful things coming through. As we go through these energies, because that's all we can do is just go through them, just allow them to be what they are, and what they're showing us about what's taking place within us, and the changes that will begin to show as we keep going and moving forward, and staying in those creative processes.
Absolutely. We would love to hear, where are you in the world today? And hello, Flisbus. Happy Sunday. And how is it going in your end of the neighborhood? How's the weather going? We're really seeing quite a bit of cleansing going on. And I'm just popping out the chat for, there we go, for Rumble. Remember we knew this was happening, right? We knew there was going to be some really big shifts going on. And by having these big shifts going on, it's part of this chaos cleansing process. I'm not going to say it's easy to go through some of this, but it is necessary. And it just shows that by putting in all this, so we're in North Vancouver and it's on a slope, right? We're up on the mountain. I'm a good 5-minute drive from the water, so to speak, straight up, maybe 10. And everything flows downhill. And when you keep building high rises and you keep putting in more concrete and you're taking out trees and you're taking out grass, what happens, right? Hello, Sherry. Beautiful. Hello, Ada. So good to see you. Yeah. California getting cooler. Yeah, absolutely. Depending on where you are in the world, definitely. Beautiful Oregon. Aw, Rayton Falls. That sounds lovely. Hello, Andrea. How's your drawing going of your grandmother? Beautiful. Yeah, we're super excited to share this with you guys. I don't even know how to make this smaller again. There we go. Pop in chat. I've got some things going on with this chat. So if you're over on Rumble, I'm not going to be checking today. I really wanted to stay present. So if you want to jump onto YouTube, we can see your comments here on YouTube. We can see your comments here on Facebook, but we cannot see your comments on Rumble pop up. So we're going to just stay really present today. Absolutely. Hello, Chrissy. Good to see you. Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. So Andrea's been doing some pencil drawings, lots of shadowing, and has some beautiful drawing of her grandmother. She did a drawing of me. So, all right, let's tap in today for a moment and do a nice big collective deep breath. And you can tell I've been a little snotty this week.
It's not a lot of us around here. I'm just saying.
It's not a lot of it's not a lot of got me.
Yep.
And remembering that anytime we have an energy coming in or we're feeling a little off kilter, to go to the breath and find your center again. For if you can stay in your center and be that observer, everything else becomes much easier. So, yeah. So as we said, so there's a lot going on energetically on the planet as a cleansing right now. The shifting happening at this time is till the end of the year. So it's one of the reasons we've decided to just stay tight and be here in North Vancouver, even though we have a atmospheric river, as they like retermed it a few years ago. And then start sending it out well before the river. So remember, we say everything is energy. What happens when everybody starts to think about one thing? Want to add to that?
It's like a beacon. You
Yeah.
become a beacon. You you're sending out that energetic response to what you're being given. This is the way it's been set up for years.
Yeah.
And so, and that brings us to something I wanted to be able to bring up. And this is great that you brought this to this conversation at the moment. Is like, let's go and let's say, instead of what we were birthed into, let's say that we were birthed into a time where there was no stories, none. And as we grew and we experienced this place, what we were taught to do was recognize what someone had created as something that was just to be observed, to be seen, to be felt, to see the awe in somebody else's or someone else's creative process, which in turn just enlivened you that much more with your energetics and your creative endless possibilities to create your own. So it was something that just really dawned on me today. It was like, man, what would I be able to create where I didn't put a story to it, but yet I was able to present it to people to be utilized as a way to just ignite something within others, to be something that puts you in a direction of seeing what you're capable of and what you're possible, or what is possible for you to create of yourself through yourself, given that you just look at what I've created and you see the glory and the awe and the beauty in just, the intricacy of the process, depending on what image it is or what it is that I've created, that I've brought, for you to see, especially here since we're able to do this on such a large scale now because we have the internet. So it was something that I was just really just actually contemplating on right before we came on, to be honest with you, because I was like, wow, can you imagine how much you would be able to tap into your own energy, which it always has been, especially when you come to understand how things were set up and how things were utilized and how they tapped into us to create so much of what we've been experiencing. Can you imagine what it would have been like if we'd been birthed into a time where there are no stories whatsoever to give us that somewhat manipulation of how we perceive who we are in this experience? I mean, it's a mind blower to me. It's profound.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Rebecca. Good to see you. Yeah, good to feel your energy. So today we were calling in hummingbird energy. And yes, thank you for sharing that. Let's close out first because there's something else to that. That when you and don't speak and haven't been programmed and you just observe, your perception changes quite a bit. And depending on even when you come in, your perception is different. Like our two perceptions are different. We were looking at a chart earlier of woven energies. And what I saw first and what she saw first were completely different. And that is because we're all so very unique. And we've always said that. But depending on when you came in and how you came in, and then all of your beliefs and your programming, you start to almost mesh into specific constructs where your energy is going to be utilized to create that which somebody else might desire for you, right? Whether it's your parents or your teachers. And so we're inviting you to really question your own beliefs, question those things that are showing up for you, question the energies. And yeah, there's a lot that can be said around this. Yeah. So yeah. A ton. Yeah. Hummingbird energy though. And I don't know why I came in for you, but it's funny because I was thinking about, if I was to call in an energy for the meeting today and for the energy I'd like to have for the rest of the day, it's hummingbird. Now, it's not the hummingbird, like fast, speedy, gotta go, moving. Oh, it was for you?
Mhm.
Oh, well, yeah. It's more about the accuracy and the ability to hone in on where the hummingbird wants to go with precision,
Mhm.
and then to get into the flower, get the nectar, right? Get what it needs to do, and then be able to move on and have a rest in a tree nearby. What was it for you?
I mean, it's basically the same energetics, but what it for me is because my processing has gotten so quick.
Mm,
So when we look at the hummingbird, you when we do it in comparison of other birds, the hummingbird is very fast. It's very strategic in how it does its approach because it's so fast. It's about getting to that nectar and knowing that once it goes for its food and it has its focus, even at the times, like in its directness, in its focus as to where it wants to get this is also having to also work with the bees.
yes.
Okay, so
And the other birds.
yes, and the butterflies, and it's a unison and in a harmonious dance, so to speak. But for the hummingbird, they just come in it. They just have their sequence, their code to how they respond to their environment. So, but it's also definitely, as T was talking about, it's definitely about that intent of the focus of where it is that it's wanting to direct its pointed beak, I guess you would say.
Yeah, and I think as it does that, the energy goes out and lets what is around it know, yo, I'm going this way,
Right,
right? Get the fuck out of my way.
right. Yo, I got this coming in fast. Let me get what I need to
You
get.
don't want to be in front of this beak.
Right. I got things to do. Like I got to go. I got other places I got to affect. So it's like it moves from environment to environment unless it wants to stay in that specific environment, particular environment, given what the environment is providing it with. So if it's a plethora of environment, then it's working with the other entities, the bees, the butterflies, and whatever else it may be with, in as much harmonious or unique unison as as things just progress. So it's about understanding that harmony and working in unison as to each each entity that's involved in that process as well gets their part of that accomplished and provided for given the environment.
And why is this important? Why are we bringing this up, right? For me, it was, oh, we could learn a lot from the hummingbird. We can learn a lot from nature in general, but let's bring it in specifically to the hummingbird. It knows its natural state. It doesn't try and be a butterfly. It doesn't try and be another bird. It is just doing its thing. It's just knowing to do what it does by nature. And I feel we've strayed so far from our nature and we're so disconnected in many ways, not just from common unity, but from our own energy and knowing how we actually feel.
Mhm.
When's the last time you checked in when you eat something and then observe it actually going through your system? And oh, I wonder if that's why, right? Like it correlates to something else. It has a cause and effect, right? Let's think about sugar, for example, right? You eat some sugar, you have a sugary drink, you get a spike, and then you crash, right? And so, oh, I got a bit of a headache. So depending on who you are, it may affect you differently. But when's the last time you paid attention to what you're consuming in such a precise way that every bite, every chewing of it, every satiation of flavor, the sensation in your mouth, the smell. Maybe you're eating with your hands, which is a really good way to connect with food. To really just slow that right down, to be in the ever present moment of exactly what is going on in that moment with your body, with the sensation, or maybe it's having a drink, maybe it's a magic drink, right? And how does that feel? Maybe it's water, right? How does it feel going down? How does it make you feel afterwards? And just really connecting in. My daughter, here we go. She's turns 19 in January. But her father would take her for much more fast food than I would. And so she had not an addiction whatsoever because she really loves McDonald's fries. Hot, fresh, they're good. But when she goes to order something, and she's like, "Oh, I couldn't order McDonald's." I was just like, tell me more. Tell me more." All excited. She goes, "Well, I don't mind the fries, but I don't like them when they're hot. And if I order them, they won't be hot. And so, and if I order their burgers, I just feel awful afterwards." Yes. Because I never tried to tell her, no, you can't have that. But I did always say, pay attention to how you feel afterwards. And that kind of stuck. Yeah. Beautiful. Hummingbird one. Cool. So, she is even coming into, and that's good for that age to be that aware, to be that present. And, we both just went through these upgrades. That's why I wasn't on Wednesday. Definitely a draining that I didn't know I needed to drain. And it was funny because it was like, oh, my third eye's really aching. And then it was like, oh, and then I started to sneeze and I was like, okay, all right, I'm having an upgrade. That's okay. I was very disappointed that I was not at home because I was in Whistler. And so I didn't have my plethora of herbal concoctions and remedies at my fingertips, which I have here. And so as soon as I got home, so I started like, neat, take this oil of oregano, right? Um, nebulizer on the nose with a little hydrogen peroxide and saline. And then Jade got it next. So she did have a bit more of an upgrade than I did. She had a fever. I didn't have a fever. And so, she was really miserable at one point, that like, oh, woe is me, that despair feeling when you don't feel good. And all I could do was give her a hug and go feed the cat. She's cat sitting right now and nurture her the best I could. And last night, we made a second turkey for my mom and for Norma Jean because she didn't get one. It was Thanksgiving last weekend and we were in Whistler. And so, yeah, I made this bird yesterday. And then, so Jade was having some turkey soup today. And she's like, she had an appetite last night. She was so grateful to have it's something nourishing about that, especially with the soup and the vegetables and the potatoes. And I make turkey just so I can have turkey soup. That is my one and favorite thing to do. So yeah, you can still hear it a little bit. Absolutely. But that's okay. Yeah, I'm still a little bit. It's clearing. It's all good. It just is, right? I don't attach to it. And so this is part of that process. And I haven't had a cleansing, clearing for a few months anyway.
At least not at the level you had it since last year, actually, about this time when you was in Egypt.
That's right. Oh, I had a big purge in Egypt.
Huge.
Yeah, photos were popping up from that around Egypt and quite fascinating to just even recall my very first trip to Egypt and then this next one. And it must have been showing up on the photos. That's why one of my guides has messaged me that's there in Egypt. He's like, when are you coming back? He's all excited. So not right now. We're waiting. And when the timing is right, whether that's this spring or next fall, we're still waiting for a go ahead here towards the end of the month. And so energetically, this is important because you build up stuff in your system and then it's got to be purged out, or you've got energy trapped in your system and it's got to be purged out. You cannot just keep letting it build up in the system. Your body innately knows what to do. How amazing. And I'm like, wow, how much snot can come out of one person? Like, really? Sorry, a little graphic. I was like, oh, and then I sent Orgy a message, and I was like, I'm looking for messages in the toilet paper in the snot. You blow your nose and then you open it up and see if there's a message. Sorry, guys, I'm a little silly today. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing was when she was on her way.
Yes.
Jay was on their way here.
Hi, Jamie.
I was feeling just fine until she said, okay, I'm on my way. And then I started feeling her before she got here. And then I knew exactly when she arrived because it was like, I was like, oh, you poor thing. Oh, you poor thing. But you see, I didn't go through the same. But what I was doing is, I guess you would say, like sympathy or empathy pain, or, I was mirroring her. But what it was, because of our energy connection, it was like I was just assisting because I didn't go through that. I didn't have the snot and stuff. What more is for me is I have a lot coming up out of my chest, but it's happening more at night for me where I wake up and I've got a cough because it's catching it builds up in and around my throat area. So you see, I'm just doing a lot of chest and throat clearing. So, but as far as anything that's like, you know, at the level that her and Jade was having to go through, I haven't hit that.
Yeah.
So it was quite fascinating to, because it was like seeing her come in and then seeing Jade just, it was like that, I was like, wow, so it's like, those energetics, but also, her having that connection because of Jade being her daughter, that this energy flows differently, but it, for us, me picking up on it was just an assistance, but with Jade, it was that same like
She had
genetic kind of clearing
lineage purge,
right? So it's
which
fascinating.
is really fascinating because it was on the 15th, so this is just before the 15th. Yeah, I got a family email that of somebody that I'm like, I'm not sure who this is. Mom, do you know who this is? In regards to somebody passing away and sending me pictures of artwork. So I don't know. That's pretty fascinating, isn't it? Yeah.
The synchronicities are just profound,
Yeah, absolutely. And Jamie's mentioning, oops, oh, nonstop for over a week. Oh, sending you love, honey. Yeah, there's a lot of us around this time, and I'll explain also why. Turkey, homemade soup much better without the turkey. I don't put turkey in mine. I just want the bone broth and all the vegetables. And I let them add the turkey at the end. Also, I'm not a big fan because the more times you heat up the soup, the more the turkey's like getting overcooked, so to speak. So yeah, I'm quite fussy. And I will have one turkey sandwich with each turkey. That's sort of about all I can handle. And then I'm like, can't eat the bread and the meat, and like it's just too much for me. So yeah, absolutely. And another upgrade. Yep. Right, absolutely. I just wanted to say how much we appreciate you all being here, and don't forget to go and sign up for the newsletter. Somebody today is winning a free session. This is a little late, but always in divine timing. So if you go to the Adventures for Connection website and you sign up for the newsletter, then you will get your name put into a draw. I got a name. And you will get a free session with me. And we're not spammy. Jane Strum. That's Jane Strum. STRUM. You are the winner, and we'll get an email off to you. Thank you very much. I look forward to connecting with you. Yeah, it's a beautiful way to, yeah, I love connecting with people, especially working on entering into like healing meditations. And we say that all the time, that everything is frequency, everything is vibration. Yeah, there we go. Hello, love. How are you? So good to see you. Yeah. Winning, winning, winning. Absolutely. And I think a lot of people go through these upgrades. It has to do with the seasonal change and shift.
Mhm.
And I've just come into new information around when we actually celebrate the equinoxes, it's more in the middle of the actual equinox. Because when you think about it, we start fall well before that date, right? And winter starts before the date. December 21st is winter. Now we start winter back in November, in my opinion, as soon as they, do this time change. But I have a feeling it has a lot to do with just our adjustment going from one season into another. And what do you need to let go of? What have you been picking up along the way energetically that your body's like, oh no, we're not going in like this. We need to get rid of this and purge this energy now.
Mhm.
Yeah. Frequent toilet visits. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Well, that's moving energy, right? You're always moving energy when you move your body. Yes, no problem. Absolutely. So there's many ways of assisting in moving the energy. And we have an opportunity to do a bit of a cleanse and a bit of a break. And so eating less is one, cutting out certain things. Like if ever I'm feeling too stuffed up, there's no way. Like I'll have a little probiotic yogurt here and there. I don't drink milk, but I do bake with a little bit of it. But I'll tend to cut out as soon as you're mucousy, all dairy should go, like cheeses, all those good things that you really enjoy. Those would definitely be important. And also being able to rest more, because your body will work on healing itself if you give it the space to rest. To just close your eyes and just to be. It doesn't mean you need to be consuming something, doing something all the time, but your body will rest. And the more you rest, the easier this will pass. So I spend a lot of time resting. What do you like to do when you're moving energy?
Oh, wow. I'll be honest with you, other than just doing a little bit of stretching and stuff, I catch myself doing it before I lay down because I'm so focused on what's coming through for me. And so a lot of what I'm doing in that moving energy is what I'm creating with the tools and the applications that I'm utilizing in order to do that creation. So a lot of what I move is at night, I'll just do some stretching and stuff and, do a couple of yoga poses,
Yoga.
like a couple of yoga poses. And, just so much of right now for me is totally different than it is for T. T is that mover. See, for me, I did a lot of moving. I mean, a lot of moving whenever, my 20s and my 30s and even up until probably about 47. And a lot of it was just like for these last few years, I guess it was, you would say 22, 23. Yeah. So the last 2 years, it's been more of just being. So for me to move energy is a little different than it is for T. Now, does that mean that I don't need to do what I need to keep my body in, in more of that fit state? No, it just means that I'm just not at that point just yet, but it's coming because I can feel it. And then on top of that, it's like there's still more that I must purge through energetically before my body is prepared to take on more of that physical part of this. So,
yeah. And for me, that is, when you get to know the energy body that you really are and what your, I want to say energy foundation is, which is, has a lot to do with the CoQ 32 colors, right? And the different astronomy points for you and the energetics that you're carrying to work through. And basically, here's how we're seeing ascension right now. And I will always update and shift and change on new information. But as it is right now, that the tropical astrology is your matrix, so to speak, what you've come into in this body, in this life.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we're working to ascend through those things, unbind, unwind, and then move on up. And it's not to say you shouldn't look at sidereal or Vedic, and you can because it's more cosmic. That's the astronomy of it. And so to be aware of both, it's a balancing act. But when you go in and get your natal chart, and early December is when I hit my 3-month mark, what it does is it energetically aligns you to your original blueprint when you came in. Now, what that does also, part of the purging, is it's going to automatically start to shift energy. And so it may be a little uncomfortable at first. You may not even understand what's going on, but we're super grateful to be able to work with Chastia. She'll be on next weekend. We're going to have her on, and she's going to explain the Protuberant Man. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Da Vinci.
Yeah.
I think it was Da Vinci.
Yeah, the Protuberant Man.
Yeah.
The one on the wheel like this.
Yeah,
and that's basically how we've come in, right? To be energetically tapped into, so to speak.
Yes, it's the levels and the stages. Um, and to understand that on an energetic level, like we've been speaking to this. I've been talking and saying this from the get. This is about energetics, period. For you to understand the energetics of this place and what you've been experiencing, understanding that those energetics and being able to utilize Cohu 32 as a way to be able to understand when you're able to recall something that correlates or corresponds with the colors or the energies of that colors or the frequencies, and understanding what took place in your life up to this point. Then from here, it's okay. All I need to do is understand these energies and to alchemize them in ways that they've never been alchemized before. That's the reason why I spoke to what I spoke to earlier. When you come to understand, nothing has life without life. Not here. So what is the one thing that gives life to anything that we experience here? We do. And we do it through the human vessel. We do it through the human form. And it's all about energetics. And when you come to understand that, then you'll begin to understand that all this stuff that they utilize for manipulation or for conditioning and stuff like that, they taught us exactly what we needed to do in order to use that for ourselves. And that's where you come to understand the energetics. That's where you come to understand what it means to command something and do it in a way where it doesn't just also, take care of you, but it's energetic that when you speak to something, you command it, and you command it for self, you always must speak, this is for my highest good, because from that highest good, it doesn't just do what it needs to do for you. It does it for all of mankind, all of the human race, the collective, because that's how we are attached, is here through this energetic, the heart. Okay. So it's when we was having a conversation earlier, it's about understanding that the heart has its own communication. It's an innate thing. And then when we come to understand that, when we attach, like, Linda McGillis has spoken to, it's that 12 inches. And then understanding what it takes to alchemize the process, instead of it being all here and it controlling and suppressing this part. It's about enlivening this part, and then understanding that this part is going to help you alchemize the understanding to make different choices, which is going to be from the heart to help the mind understand the truth of things. So yeah, it's about, it's like we are kind of taking ourselves and turning ourselves right side up, but we're on a wheel. And you got to understand that wheel gets turned, and it gets, even if it's just, it gets turned just a centimeter or a dial, it changes the energetics of what you're feeling and what you're going through and what's taking place and what's going on in your environment and stuff. And you're like, man, what is this? Why am I feeling this way? Why did this show up all of a sudden? And when you come to understand the energetics of things, whether it be from the natal chart all the way up to the Cohu 32, and how the cosmic, or how astronomy plays into this so much bigger, then you begin to understand, oh, I see. So this is how it's been going down. Now that I understand this, I know the power I wield. I know the power I am, and I can begin to use that in my life, which will present better solutions for the collective, because then you would make choices for yourself, that when you make it for yourself, you're making it on a collective level.
Yeah, for the greater good of all. We'll always say for the greater good of all. When you stop playing the victim and you realize you can control what's happening within your life, and you get more quiet and you become the observer, and you're not reacting as much, you're not triggered all the time, you have a great sense of peace that comes over you, because you're like, oh, when I manage my own energy, shit just goes a lot smoother. Look at that. And now can I set some intention and bridge things more, and get to know the body more, where, yeah, I pay a lot of attention to my body because I'm a really big container, and it's important because I'm moving shit for the collective all the time. Was part of this clearing. That is just part of what I signed up for coming in. And I've always, well, in the last 6-7 years, I've known that. and I'm a big container, so I can hold a lot. What does that mean? You're all energetically traveling highways that I'm holding. Get your cars out.
Move
Only
along, get in the
energy.
flow. Quit using this as a way to dam things up. Relax.
Right?
But as far as like Rebecca, the best thing for you to do is go to cohu32.com.
Yeah, that and AstroSeek if you want to have a look. So I go on there when I start.
She's actually for astronomy.
Oh, astronomy natal chart. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that would be, and there's 3 different ones you can get. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Definitely
Thank you. Absolutely. And to stop playing the victim. Yeah. Exactly. It's hard though, because we're programmed that way. But you will see as you do this and as you build that new foundation, your new energy level, and you start putting in some boundaries for those people that are not for your highest good, you will find that you elevate your energy. And when you elevate your energy, everything around you shifts even more. Absolutely.
Let it begin with me.
Always and always.
That's a very powerful statement.
Plug this in.
Okay. And that's a very powerful statement. If you really, if you say it every day for the next 21 days, and I did this almost a year ago. Let it be, because I did it with myself for so long. Let it begin with me. Always, in all ways. When you really begin to allow that to be something of part of your spoken word, or your, what is it called, affirmation.
Yeah.
Then you begin to,
what happens? Spoken word.
Right. So when you begin to utilize that as something as an affirmation, then what happens is because you make that affirmation, then what you're doing is you're bringing about those experiences each day in your life, that you have a new day, and it's showing you something differently, because when you utilize that in a way of being more open to your experiences, then you begin to be like, you start popping off like light bulbs everywhere. Oh, because you've opened yourself up from the heart, instead of allowing what you're experiencing to flood you with too much BS information, because the heart says, hold up, slow down, take a deep breath. You wanted to know this. Step back, be the observer.
Yeah, absolutely. Always and always. It's taking responsibility for selves. Yeah. Practice. Yeah, absolutely. It is. Absolutely. And because we're going from the me, individuation. This is part of this process of expansion, ascension, whatever you'd like to call it, as we go from the individual me, because we've separated ourselves in order to know ourselves better, and then to come back again to the whole. This is the dance we do. So there's actually much more information out there about this than we've ever been given before. It's quite profound and beautiful all at the same time. That, a lot of it's very cryptic though. It's all metaphors. So you take some space to start to digest it differently. And so once you start down this path and you really hit your stride, so to speak, the bumps are easier. You're not sailing over speed bumps at 80 kilometers an hour like I did in Mexico.
But it's funny because you mentioned cryptic, and here's the thing about being cryptic. Okay, and when we speak to cryptic, we're speaking of numbers. So when you come to understand that, when you're wanting to understand something, you've got to get through all those layers of bullshit in order to hear the message that is being conveyed. And as time goes by, and I know that y'all are here because over time you might not be able to hear clearly what we were saying, but because you kept coming back, because you kept hearing this, that there was just something about the way we were expressing and conveying this message, this guidance, these tools, that you just kept coming back. Now it's a year later, and it's like, you get us, you get her, which I'm not saying you probably got her from the very beginning. For me, it was like, And then now it's like, okay, I can come here and I can bring forth a a message without having to, use 120 mile an hour speed of tongue to get it out. So as you keep going along, there's not as much crypticness because you're listening with different ears. You see,
you're tuning your frequency dial.
right? Which means you're moving yourself on your wheel. You see, instead of letting the energies tweak you on that wheel and being chained to it, you've broke the chains and now you're saying, no, 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 no. I want to know what's being said. I want to know what's being expressed. Then you begin to turn the dial, or you begin to alchemize those energies that were turning that dial for you that you seem so attached to, and you're moving them out of the way. So that way, as you go along, now you're being able to stay more in an aware state where when something is said that you might not have caught fully what was being expressed, you can now.
Yeah, it's like learning a new language, because there's so much coming through that's not being said whatsoever. So sometimes it's like, okay, how do these words make me feel? What do I think I'm hearing? Right? To go through those processes. And yeah, it's been it's a I just got never ending story. It's a never ending story. Remember that. It's a never ending story. We have to watch that movie because there's something in that. And
there's a lot of clues in it. Yes.
My mom's dog, when she gets shaved down, looks exactly like the luck dragon. My mom's like, don't say that. I'm like, it's not a bad thing. I'm just calling it like it is. She's either a gremlin when she's losing her shit, or she's an Ewok when she's being all cute and like, I'm a good dog. Yes, I'm a good
fucking
dog.
Fascinating. Because like when like her hair's long and she goes and gets in, like plops down in mud, she comes out, so it's like the gremlin. But as she dries up and she becomes that cute little
Ewok,
it's kind of like, man, this is so cool to watch. But the luck dragon is like when you get her attention, she's doing that running. She's like being cute. There's the luck dragon. So yeah, it's freaking fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's a little ball of joy. And then we have Buddha Boots over here who's snoring away and doing his energy thing over there, which has been a lot lately, caterwauling, and yeah, wakes me up every morning.
Come to me for affection and attention. That he's been doing that for like the last 3 weeks. I'm like, what's up with this?
Yeah.
What changed?
Yeah.
Because he paid me no mind up to that point. So yeah, it's just the energetics are changing.
Maybe your energy shifted.
I mean, maybe I mean, he's there. I'm aware of him. It's not how you can't not be.
Right.
But it's one of those that I don't need him to fulfill me.
Yeah.
Not like and I'm not saying that's bad. That's not what I'm saying. What I recognize is that there was a time that to have a cat was for that need of that affection and that love and that closeness. But coming here and just seeing that, he's just the cat that he is. I mean, he's 100% Jade's cat, but 90% her cat when it's time to be fed or to be, given, whatever it is he needs. So
you're really good about cleaning the litter box because you're the one that smells it first.
Extrasensory smell.
So maybe that's
hearing.
Why he's like, oh, I'm really enjoying that clean litter box.
I suppose if there's any gratitude for him to come to give me some love because you changed my litter box. Right. A little backwards here, but I'm just saying.
See, he needed you. And we're coming into that year. So we're talking about the seasonal changes and talking about energy. And isn't it interesting how early all the sugar candy for Halloween comes out? And then sugar weakens the immune system. Just a thought. I see that quite a bit. And then they start laying on the other stuff. Did you watch that video I sent you on Halloween?
Mm-mm.
No. Did you see it?
Mm-mm.
Have you not been on Telegram today?
Rarely. Creating.
Norma Jeans gets it like this in creation mode.
I do. It's like,
which is good. So I saw an interesting after school video with Randall. about Halloween. It's about a year old. So, they after school, they do those great drawings. Oh no, he took this into astronomy, into you want some truth bombs about Halloween? They're in that video. I will post it in the Telegram group and I'll post it below in here. It was quite profound because it talked a lot about the astronomy. And this is the time of year when resets happened because of Aquarius. Imagine that. And Taurus. Imagine that. So quite profound. It was like one of those timing videos where I was like, oh, I needed to hear this today. And so it just shows that his story, her story, whose ever story you're listening to, as we went through school, we all believed that to be truth, didn't we? Because we trusted our parents,
Right.
we trusted our teachers, and God forbid you did question, because if you questioned, it just was frowned upon, right? So toe the line, be a good kid, behave this way. Can you imagine how much influence we had in school, all believing the same thing?
Things that make you go,
Right? That all of our energy, as we all wrote a test and answered questions and visualized in our minds, say where your country is, and then your different states, if it was the US, or provinces, if it was Canada, that you were tested on that, and we were all setting it, if that makes sense. We were
Every
helping to
year.
create it.
every year. And what's the best way? Who are the best subjects to tap into? Especially with the clearest, most creative processes there could be. Because by the time they're utilized, then things shift for them because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But kids are so beautifully and profoundly connected in their creative processes. I mean, to watch a child play, especially young, and you see them out there in that creative process, they're creating something with mud, and then they're playing cowboys and Indians at the times I was growing up, and GI Joe and things like that. But it's like they're only utilizing it in their own creative processes, because it's not quite that they're being as manipulated, or they understand they're being manipulated. They're just utilizing it as something as a part of their creative processes that was put before them. But once you get in school and they put you in this, and if there was one anything that I hated to do whenever it came time for it, and it was like, you need to study, you got a test coming on. I was like, and it was like, I like tea. I blew by the skin of my my teeth, because I didn't care.
Yeah, no, neither did I. That's true. Absolutely. The everything, and that's what we're witnessing. And what better to observe? Hello, Chestia. You missed us chatting about you in a good way. That we, oh, good news, ladies, popped up on my feed. Awesome. We were calling you in, and we brought in hummingbird energy today to finalize our conversation.
Which I started doing.
Yeah, we are claiming it all back. Absolutely. We're claiming all of it back, that full heart-centered freedom. Don't sign anything. As soon as you sign anything, you're signing up for something else. Be very conscientious about what you're willing to give your power to.
Yep.
And we're pretty strongly holding it tight these days as far as that goes, because we want to be conscientious about where it's going and what we're putting it into. And really, as we do this new foundation and building blocks and creating a new construct, that one is absolutely for the highest good of all, there's got to be some unwinding, and it's going to take more than just us, right? So we're building a foundation for everybody and a new way of commerce, ideally, whatever you want to call that, barter, exchange, energy exchange, in a new foundation, in a new way. And so we're brainstorming some of those ideas. What does that look like? How can we create for everybody to flourish no matter what? Yeah, because that's really, I just I just love the idea when one is free, and especially when you're in nature and everyone is having a similar experience. It is such a beautiful energy exchange. I'm thinking of our times at Vedette, whenever we're around having meals or we're down around on the dock and we're hanging out or up at the center with the energies, and everyone's just really present. And that's the best gift anyone could give anyone else, is to just be very present in their presence and to really hear what they're having to say and listening and connecting heart to heart, because that is what's most important. Absolutely. 100%. Ah, there we go. Look at that. I'll get you two connected. How's that? And it looks like she's got a YouTube page. It's hard to message on YouTube though. So I'll get you two connected. No worries. I love how, see, common unity already. Yeah. The shit is fertilizer, honey. The shit is fertilizer, Carolyn.
Alchemize that shit.
Yeah. You can't wait for something external. So we've got to just keep working on it. We're responsible. We're creating it. The more of the collective that stops giving their power away to a show, the sooner and more efficiently and more beautifully this will unfold.
Right. And understanding that you can command whatever it is that you want to see change in your life. Start small.
Yeah.
Start small with those commands. So that way you get a feel for what will show up.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's also what's called ripple effects. So you don't want to go out and be like, I command. It's commanding on that smaller level so you can get adjusted and get a little more confident in what it is that you're wanting to take back your power in. So begin to make small commands. Start with something small. I command that. Well, it was funny because I command that a comb show up in my experience just to see what takes place and how long. Because you see, in this place in which we exist, it takes time for it to show up. So if it's small, then what you begin to get to see is okay, this is a small object. So a smaller object's not going to take as long to form. But what's happening is also you're not putting so much of a larger, so to speak, something your mind won't be able to comprehend.
I can give a good example.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I can give a good example of this. And it's a matter of, even when you say what you don't want, it will still show up.
Yes.
So my daughter does not like spiders, but spiders keep coming to her. It's fascinating to observe, because until she finds her peace, right, ability to, and it took me space and time. They used to mostly get, well, now that Norma's here, Norma helps them out more than I do, but they used to just get sucked up in the vacuum. You're in my house. What are you doing in my house?
I'm like,
Done.
Oh, he was just doing what he needed to do.
Yeah, but it was me and Jade. Do you know? So when I was young, my mother would fucking stand on a chair and scream over a mouse or a spider. Do you know what imprint that has on a child? That has an imprint on a child. And so Jade, even though, and they show up for her all the time. She's cat sitting in this house and she's going in. There's a spider that greets her in the hallway. We go up to Whistler, and part of the purge could have been also pushed along from, we went to Scandinave Spa and I did hot cold sauna. I did the eucalyptus steam room maybe 7 or 8 times. It was awesome. Eucalyptus. Interesting.
That too. Same thing, I suppose.
It's very close. You can't see anything in there. Anyways, Jade is the one person in the entire place that the spider comes over to the stairs as she's coming up to say hello. Big ass fucking spider, and like this big part of my body. And anyways, so you're not allowed to talk in there. So I come out of the steam room. Jade's like, I'm like, what? And finally I look, and then we start just observing, and we were watching people like almost step on it. I'm like, "Hey, dude, you got to move along. Like, get going." And this one lady like totally took off once we showed her what it was. So people have their fear of this tiny little thing. It's quite fascinating. What I didn't want is somebody to step on it because the feeling of that on your bare foot, not good for either party involved, let's just say. So we were trying to redirect people. So, anyways, it was kind of a funny situation. But there's Jade. Yeah, it came up and greeted me right at the stairs. I'm like, yeah, I knew you would help it along.
You called it in.
So even her not wanting to deal with spiders, they're constantly showing up for her. For me, I haven't seen one since I put the chestnuts with a little hole in them out. I haven't seen any. So don't do the lover out of the gate. Take it from me. May come in the elephant room until tuned. Yeah. Right? Yes, baby steps everywhere. There we go. Perfect. I don't see your website posted, so I don't know if you shared it, Andrea, but you need to post it in there, and I'll even pop it up here for Andrea's artwork. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. Scorpions, yeah.
Oh, that's just like, that's pretty fascinating for that to even be brought up, because it was like, man, pre-buy if only you knew, love. Oh, you're tapping, because I was thinking on Scorpio and the energies and things, and just having a profound conversation with myself to understand Scorpio and its energies. Okay. And it's a water sign. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I've known this, and it's, oh, they like dampness. Okay, that's cool. Well, for the most part, scorpions usually won't attack unless they're given a reason to. Well, I have a best friend in my life that's a Scorpio. And, in understanding how the energies of the water signs, and how they just let it go and they flow and stuff like, and she's very, most people find her to be aggressive in that way, but it's not as much of aggression as it is understanding the water sign, especially Scorpio, that they do have a hard outer shell that is kind of like the protective shell, but that shell, they must stay cool somehow because they're encompassed in that shell. So it was like this like dialogue I was having with myself was just giving me this like profound, more in-depth understanding of just Scorpio energy and why Scorpio is and presents itself, through the energetics that it is. But it's also to understand how Scorpio was utilized through nefarious, spells and castings and things like that. So it was just quite profound that you even brought that up, because it's like, there's those synchronicities, there's those connections that, when something is spoke to, just like with the hummingbird, oh, there's that connection. Then you speaking to, Scorpio, oh, there's that connection. And that right there tells you that with that, the energies that we are having on that greater level in those higher D states is coming through here. And these are confirmations. This lets us know that these energetics are bringing y'all here in bringing in, creating more of those connections for this creative process of a new experience of the world that we seek to, that we know is beginning to formulate, create, and exist. It's just going to take time for it to begin to really show as we go along in this.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially around this year for Halloween, Scorpio was eagle in the loss. Interesting. Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, never a dull moment, I tell you. Have a higher perspective. That's an interesting shift. That's a completely different energy. Interesting, right?
To go from air from basically as a water sign to an air.
And it went from air to water.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, air to water. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to remind everyone too that as we go through and hit this Hallows Eve, to be aware of what you're doing with your energy. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, I'll be in bed sleeping early.
Oh, well, the great thing about it for me is that I've come to understand, for so long, between October and December was the craziest times for me, because the energies were so so different, so all
We're
over the
in for some
place,
big
being
shifts.
right.
Yeah.
And I felt every bit of that. And there would be times that I would not sleep. The energies were just at me and I could feel them. And I'm like, just doing what I could just to get through just those 3 months. But as soon as the 21st showed up, it began to ease up and I was able to just be able to start relaxing again. But, as you're going through this, you have an awareness of things that were taking place at certain times that maybe even affected you. There's a reason for that. It's because of the connection of the energetics to everything. So, yeah. So it's like you feel these things and you don't know why. But as you come to become more open, you get to know more about who you are and the role that you play in all this. It becomes more clear, and that clarity helps you to rise more in that energetic understanding of the levels of, whether it's 5D, 6D, whatever it may be. But this is that up and down. This is that ebb and flow, to find that harmonious state within yourself as the clearing continues with these energies. Man, the sun's just going to keep blasting us with what it is that we need to continue on in what it is that we are creating.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jamie says, timeline for me slowed down. Yeah, sometimes it's going to slow right down, and sometimes it's going to feel really fast. But just being able to observe the fact that you feel it slow down is awesome. Absolutely. And you were talking earlier too about the breath. So that Fibonacci breath in through the nose hits the inside of the nostrils. And as you breathe in, it goes down through the lungs, then fill up the belly. So that gives you your Fibonacci. And then we go back out again, and it goes on the outside of the nose. Always good to breathe out longer than you breathe in, and nasal breathe only as much as possible. By doing that, you're working harmoniously with the body, and you're breathing in the light the right way and getting it into your system more. First thing I do when I want to relax is, oh yeah, let's get those. I was paying attention to something else. I wasn't paying attention to my breath. So every time you're aware, bring it back to the breath. Bring it back to the breath. You want to close your eyes for 5 minutes and put a timer on? Have your mind focus on the breath. It can have all the other thoughts at once. That's okay. What you'll find is over days, weeks, that it will slow down and you will become more present, and the monkey mind will get quiet. So breath is life.
There's another thing I want to be able to bring forth as well. That there was a comment that was on the Telegram group that I wanted to bring about, and there were some of them that were noticing that the sun was in different spots or didn't seem to be where it was meant to be, as they were having this experience over time. So this wasn't just 2 or 3 days. This was accumulating 2 or 3 days to almost 2 or 3 weeks, and it was one of those that what came through for me is to help people to understand that if something seems to be changing outside of you, that is definitely mirroring things that are happening within you first. So you see, it's not that the timelines are changing outside of you. It's that you're putting yourself on the higher timelines within you first. And what it's doing is mirroring back to you that this is what's taking place.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. We're so grateful, you guys. Thank you for the love and the sharing. I will be on Wednesday. And for members, I have done the morning little routine after, and there was a time space when I was being asked to do more of a morning exercise thing. I found a great app. Short, concise, specific, and then I'll add in my own mixes, versus me trying to start doing the filming for activities. So this one that I found combines yoga with Tabata as you desire, or just slowing it right down, and a bit of a Pilates in there too. We're talking 12 to 20 minutes a day. That's all you really need. So yeah. Yay. Glad you guys figured that out. Beautiful. We're sending you so much love today. We have so much gratitude for you taking the time and sharing your energy with us today. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. You will get entered into a free draw. And so that's a really easy way to help with an energy exchange. And then if you're interested in membership, comment membership, and we'll get you some more information and let you know what that's all about. But we're creating a container where we meet every week, twice a week, actually. You get to hang out with us twice a week on private calls. And one is more based around healing, and the other one's more around where are we going and what energies do we want to move forward with, and helping you guys clear things out. Absolutely. Happy dreaming, all. Absolutely. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening.